Good morning.
Good morning, Deepa ma'am.
Yeah, I'm actually outside with my son. So
Okay.
I'll be in the listening mode. Okay.
Sure, sure. Okay, okay, fine.
Yeah. So I'm very excited about the new book.
Super.
Yeah. Thank you.
Ooh, well, 1 minute. Okay. Hi, team. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, it's visible.
Are you feeling echoing? Because I have connected with other device as well. Do
No,
you
no,
feel
it's
kind of, no echoing, right?
no, yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I welcome you all once again to the new book which we are going to start from today after the Diwali break. Hope you all had a wonderful Diwali and a short break. So this morning, when we 7 o'clock, we connected with book reading, but you had some time 7 o'clock to have something else. So I welcome once again to restart or start again for book reading session every morning at 7 a.m. So today we have come up with a new book, Surrounded by Idiots by Thomas Erickson. So in this book, generally he talks about he's helping us to understand people. See, in our life, we are every day we are dealing with new people and new personality and new characters. Sometimes we may happy about it. Sometimes we may feel sad or we may feel annoyed. So many feelings may get from that. How we can have the reactions, the relationship with people. Through this book, I think the author has classified so 4 different categories of people with the different colors, and he has specified each characters and with the different colors. By knowing this, we come to know that okay, we are understanding how the people and how we can change our approach, how we can make it communications a better way, where we can make a great relationship. That is what we are going to read, or we are going to read from this entire book. I'm also excited. Even I'm also new to this book, and as like you, I'm also excited to know about how the author is going to explain about and how he's going to helping us to understand people character and the colors, which will help us to become a better communicator and better listener, and it will create a good relationship with among the people whom we are interacting. So, like you, I'm also so excited. Let's get into this new book. Who want to start reading? Anyone would like to start reading? Or I will start the introduction and please type your name on the chat section. So we will continue reading till 7:40 and then we can stop. The next 20 minutes we can have a discussion about how the learning from this book for the today's session. All set? Super. Let's start. Surrounded by idiots, the 4 types of human behavior and how to effectively communicate with each in business and in life by Thomas Erickson. Okay, I skip that the initial part. I will continue. Okay, I'll start reading from the introduction. The man who was surrounded by idiots. I was in high school when I first noticed that I got along better with certain people rather than others. It was easy to talk to some of my friends, in any conversation. We always found that right words and everything just flowed smoothly. There were never any conflicts, and we liked one another. With other people, however, everything just went wrong. When I said fell on deaf ears, and I couldn't understand why. Why was speaking to some people so easy, while others were total blockheads? Since I was young, this certainly wasn't something that kept me awake at night. However, I still remember puzzling over why some conversations flowed naturally while others didn't even start, no matter how I conducted myself. It was just incomprehensible. I began using different methods to test people. I tried to say the same thing in similar context just to see what reaction I got. Sometimes it actually worked and an interesting discussion developed. On another occasion, nothing happened at all. People just stared at me as if I were from another planet. And sometimes it really felt that way. When we are young, we tend to think of things very simple because some people in my circle of friends reacted in a normal way. That meant, of course, that they were automatically the good guys. And so I just assumed there was something wrong with the people who didn't understand me. What other explanation could there possible be? I was the same all the time. Certain people just had something wrong with them. So I simply began to avoid these weird, difficult people because I didn't understand them. Call it the naive of youth, if you will, but it did give rise to some amusing consequences. In later years, however, all of this changed. Life went on with work, family, and career, and I continued to pigeonhole people into two groups: good and sensible people, and all the rest, the people who didn't seem to understand anything at all. When I was 25 years old, I met with a man who was self employed. Now in his 60s, Stu had founded his own business and built it up for many years. I was given the task of interviewing him just before the new project was to be implemented. We started talking about how things were functioning in his organization. One of the very first comments Stu made was that he was surrounded by idiots. I remember laughing at the time because I thought it was a joke, but he clearly meant what he said. His face turned crimson as he explained to me that the people working in Department A were complex, complete idiots, were single one of them, every single one of them. In Department B, you found only fools who understood nothing at all, and he hadn't even come to Department C yet. They were the worst of all. They were so weird that Stu couldn't fathom how they even made it to work in the mornings. The more I listened to him, the more I realized that there was something very odd about this story. I asked him if he really believed that he was surrounded by idiots. He glared at me and explained that very few of his employees were worth having. Stu had no issue letting his employees know how he felt. He didn't hesitate in the least to call anyone an idiot in front of the whole company. This meant that his employees learned to avoid him. No one dared to have one to one meetings with him. He never got to hear bad news because he would often shoot the messenger. At one of the offices, a warning light had even been mounted at the entrance to the building, discreetly placed above the reception desk. The light went red when he was there and turned green when he was away. Everyone knew about this. Not only staff, but even clients would automatically cast a nervous glance at the light to find out what awaited them when they stepped over the threshold. If the light was red, some people would simply turn back at the door, deciding to come back at a more opportune time. As we all know, when you are young, you are full of great ideas. So I asked the only question I could think of: who hired all these idiots? I knew, of course, that he had hired most of them. What was worse was that Stu understood exactly what I had implied. What I implicitly asked was, who is actually the idiot here? Stu threw me out. Later on, I was told that what he really wanted to do was fetch a shotgun and shoot me. This incident got me thinking. Here was a man who would soon retire. He was obviously a proficient entrepreneur, highly respected for his sound knowledge of his particular line of business, but he couldn't handle people. He didn't understand the most critical, complicated resource in an organization: the employees. And anyone he couldn't understand was simply an idiot. Since I was from outside the company, I could easily see how wrong his thinking was. 1 minute. Stu didn't grasp that he always compared people to himself. His definition of idiocy was simply anyone who didn't think or act like him. He used expressions that I also used to use about certain types of people: arrogant windbags, red tape jackers, rude bastards, and tedious blockheads. Although I never called people idiots, at least not so they could hear me, I had abuse problems with certain type of people. It was an utterly appalling thought to have to go through life constantly thinking that I was surrounded by people who were impossible to work with. It would make my own potential in life so unbelievably limited. I tried to see myself in the mirror. The decision was easy to make. I didn't want to be like Stur. After a particularly toxic meeting with him and some of his unfortunate colleagues, I sat in the car with a lump in my stomach. The meeting had been a total disaster. Everyone was furious there, and then I decided to learn what is probably the most important knowledge of all: how people function. I would be encountering people for the rest of my life, no matter what my profession was. And it was easy to see that I would benefit by being able to understand them. I immediately began to study how to understand the people who initially seem so difficult. Why are some people silent? Why do others never stop talking? Why do some people always tell the truth while others never do? Why do some of my colleagues always arrive on time while others rarely manage to? And even, why did I like some people more than others? The insights I gained were fascinating. And I have never been the same since I began this journey. The knowledge I acquired has changed me as a person, as a friend, as a colleague, as a son, as a husband, and as the father of my children. This book is about what is perhaps the world's most widely used method to describe the difference in human communication. The method is called the DISA, an acronym that stands for Dominance, Inducement, Submission, and Analytic Ability System. These four terms are the primary behavior types, which describes how people see themselves in relationship to their environment. Each of these behavior types is associated with a color: red, yellow, green, and blue. This system is also commonly called the DISC system, where the final letter of the acronym stands for compliance instead of analytic ability. I have used variation of this tool for over 20 years with excellent results. But how do you become really truly proficient at handling different types of people? There are, of course, various methods. The most common method is to research the matter and learn the basics. But learning the theoretical part doesn't make you a world class communicator. It's only when you begin using this knowledge that you can develop real and functioning competence in the field. Just like learning to ride a bike, you have get on the bike first. Only then do you realize what you need to do. Since I began studying how people function and painstakingly slow to understand the difference in the way we communicate, I have never been the same. I am not as categorical anymore, judging people just because they are not like me. For many years now, my patience with people who are the complete opposite of me has been far greater. I wouldn't go so far as to say that I never get involved in conflicts, just as I wouldn't try to convince you that I never lie. But both these things happen very seldom now. I have one thing to thank Stu for. He awakened my interest in the subject. Without him, this book would probably never have been written. What can you do to increase your knowledge about how people relate to communicate? A good start may be to keep reading this book, the whole book, not just the first three chapters. With a little luck, in a few minutes, you can begin the same journey I began 20 years ago. I promise you will not regret it. One thing to note, to simplify reading this book, I have chosen to use him and he consistently when I refer to examples not associated with any specific person. I know that you have enough imagination to insert her or she in your thoughts where this may be appropriate. Okay, nice and interesting of the starting of this book. Who would like to start reading next? I think I can see the chat. Yeah, Suman. Yeah, I hand it to you. Over to you.
Yes, yes. Good morning to all. Chapter 1, Communication happens on the listener's terms. Does that sound strange? Let me explain. Everything you say to a person is filtered through his frames of references, biases, and preconceived ideas. What remains is ultimately the message that he understands. For many different reasons, he can interpret what you want to convey in a totally different way than you intended. What is actually understood will naturally vary depending on who you are speaking to. But it is very rare that the entire message gets through exactly as you conceived it in your mind. It may feel depressing knowing that you have so little control over what your listener understands. No matter how much sense you would like to knock into the other person's head, there is not that much you can do about it. This is one of the many challenges of communication. You simply can't change the how the listener functions. However, most people are aware of and sensitive to how they want to be treated. By adjusting yourself to how other people want to be treated, you become more effective in your communication. Why is this so important? You help other people understand you by creating a secure arena for communication on their terms. Then the listener can use his energy to understand rather than to consciously or unconsciously react to your manner of communicating. All of us need to develop our flexibility and so be able to vary our style of communication, adapting it when we speak to people who are different from us. Here we find another truth. No matter what method you choose to communicate with as an individual, You will always be in the minority. No matter what kind of behavior you have, the majority of people around you will function differently from you. You can't just you can't just base your method of communication on your own preferences. Flexibility and the ability to interpret other people's needs, it is what characterizes a good communicator. I'm repeating this line. Flexibility and ability to interpret other people's needs is what characterizes a good communicator. Knowing and understanding another person's style of behavior and method of communication will result in more educated guesses about how a person may possibly react in various situations. This understanding will also dramatically increase your ability to get through to the person in question. No system is perfect. Let me be clear about one important point. This book doesn't claim to be totally comprehensive with respect to how we as people communicate with each other. No book can do that because the number of signals we constantly transmit to those around us would not fit into any book. Even if we could include body language, the differences between male and female dialogue, cultural differences, and all the other ways to define variations in, scroll up please. I missed the line. Let me be clear about one important point. This book doesn't claim to be totally comprehensive with respect to how we as people communicate with each other. No book can do that because the number of signals we constantly transmit to those around us would not fit into any book. Even if we could include body language, the differences between male and female, dialogue, cultural differences, and all the other ways to define variations in communications, we would not be able to write everything down. We could add psychology aspects, graphology, age, and astrology and still not get 100% complete picture. According to the American Journal of Business Education, July-August 2013, more than 50 million assessments have been made using the DISA tool. And yet, even with all this information, communication remains a fascinating and puzzling topic. People are not Excel spreadsheets. We can't calculate everything. We are way too intricate to be described in full. Even the youngest child is far more intricate than anything that could be conveyed in a book. However, we can avoid the most blatant blunders by understanding the basics of human communication. It has been going on for a while. We see what we do, but we don't see why we do what we do. Thus, we assess and appraise each other through what we see that we do. These words come from the psychoanalyst Carl Jung. Different behavior patterns are what creates dynamism in our lives. What I prefer to behavior patterns, I don't just mean how a person acts in a single instance, his actions, but rather the whole set of attitudes, beliefs, and approaches that governs how a person acts. We can recognize ourselves in certain behavior patterns, but other forms of behavior we neither recognize nor understand. Besides, each of us acts differently in different situations, which can be a source of either joy or irritation for those around us. Though individual actions can, of course, be right or wrong, there is really no pattern of behavior that is right or wrong. There is no such thing as proper behavior or incorrect behavior. You are who you are, and there is no point in wondering why. You are fine no matter how you are wired, no matter how you choose to behave, no matter how you are perceived. You are fine, within reasonable limits, of course. In a perfect world, it would be easy just to say, I am a particular kind of person and it is okay because I read it in a book. That is just how I am and this is how I act. Sure, would not be it great not to have to mishandle your own behavior? To always be able to act and behave precisely as you feel at the time. You can do that. You can behave exactly as you wish. All you have to do is to find the right situation in which to do so. There are two situations in which you can just be you. The first situation is when you are alone in a room. Then it doesn't matter how you speak or what you do. It doesn't hurt anyone if you scream or swear or if you just want to sit silently and ponder the great mysteries of life or wonder why fashion models always look so mad. In your solitude, you can behave exactly the way you feel. Simple, isn't it? The second situation where you can completely be yourself is when all other people in the room are exactly like you. What did our mother teach us? Treat others as you want to be treated. Excellent advice and very well intentioned. And it works too, as long as everyone is just like you. All you need to do is make a list of all the people you know who believe, think, and act exactly like you in all situations. Now just give them a call and start hanging out. Yes, anyone else wants to read?
Yeah, thank you, Suman, for the leading. And Krishna, can you please take it forward from here?
Yes,
And those who want,
thank
okay.
you.
Hmm.
In any other situation, it might be a good idea to understand how you are perceived and to learn how other people function. I don't think I will make headlines by saying that most people you meet aren't like you. Words can have incredible power, but the words we choose and how we use them vary. As we have seen from the title of this book, there are different interpretations of yes, you got it, words. And when you use the wrong word, well, maybe then you are an idiot, surrounded by idiots or not. What does this actually mean? As I was writing, the following analogy hit me. Behavior patterns are like a toolbox. All types are needed. Depending on the occasion, a tool can sometimes be right and sometimes be wrong. A 30-pound sledgehammer is a great for tearing down walls, but it's hardly the thing if you want to hang a picture in the foyer. Some people are opposed to the idea of sorting people into different behavior types. Maybe you believe that you shouldn't categorize people in that way, that it's wrong to pigeonhole people. However, everyone does it, perhaps in another way than I do in this book. But we all register our differences nonetheless. The fact remains that we are different. And in my opinion, pointing that out can be something positive if you do it in the right way. Improperly used, every tool can be harmful. It's more about the person using it than the tool itself. This book is your introduction to human behavior and dialogue. The rest is up to you. Parts of what you are going to read I have gathered from TTA Success Insights. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Sean Gelberg and Edward Levitt for so generously sharing both their experience and their training materials. No matter how strange it might seem, in theory, every kind of behavior is normal. Normal behavior is relatively predictable. Every person reacts in a Every person reacts in a habitual manner in similar situation. But it's impossible to predict every possible reaction before it happens. Is part of a pattern. We often react in consistent patterns. Therefore, we should respect one another's patterns and understand our own. Each changeable. We should learn to listen, act, speak openly, and reflect in order to do what is relevant right now. Everyone can adapt, can be observed. We should be able to observe and consider most forms of behavior without being amateur psychologists. Everyone can take note of the people around them. Is understandable. We should be able to understand why people feel and do what they do right now. Everyone can think about why. Is unique. Despite the conditions that we have in common, each person's behavior is unique to him. Succeed your own conditions. Is excusable. Dismiss personal jealousy and complaints. Learn to have tolerance and patience both with yourself and with others. Why are we the way we are? Where does our behavior come from?
One minute. Team, do you want to continue reading or can we stop? I think we are going to start the new chapter. Time 7:37. Do you want to discuss whatever we have read so
Yes.
far?
Yes,
like
we
to
can
continue so that we can start something new chapter from tomorrow. What everyone say? Or do you want to read some time more?
Is the people who mentioned in chat, everyone has joined it? Yeah, we will discuss.
Okay.
We'll discuss.
Okay, fine. Even if we are completing a little early, also it's fine. Tomorrow we can start with the new chapter and we can continue. Otherwise, if we start something now, we wouldn't be able to complete. Oh, second chapter we can read it. I think it's a small one. Very few pages. Yeah, the 3-4 pages. Yeah, continue, so Suman. Continue, Krishna.
Okay, yeah. Why are we the way we are? Where does our behavior come from? Why are people so different? Search me. Very briefly, it's a combination of heredity and environment. Even before we are born, the foundations for the behavior patterns we will exhibit in adulthood have been laid. The temperament and character traits we have inherited affect our behavior. The process already began at the genetic stage. Exactly how this works is still a bone of contention among scientists, but all are in agreement that it does come into play. Not only do we inherit traits from our own parents, but also from their parents, also in varying degrees from other relatives. At some point or other, we have all heard that we speak like or look like an uncle or an aunt. As a child, I resembled my uncle Bertil, something to do with my red hair. To explain how this is genetically possible would take a tremendous amount of time. For the moment, let us just establish that this inheritance lays the foundation for our behavioral development. What happens once we are born? In most cases, children are born impulsive, adventurous, without any barriers whatsoever. A child does exactly what he wants. The child says, "No, I don't want to," or "Sure, I can." He is immersed in the thought that he can manage just about anything at all. This kind of spontaneous and sometimes uncontrolled behavior is, of course, not always what his parents wished for. Then, hey presto, what was once an original pattern of behavior begins to transform. In the best or worst, can you please scroll down, Rash? Yeah. In the best or worst case scenario, into a copy of someone else. How are children influenced? Children learn and develop in multiple ways, but the most common is by imitation. A child mimics what he sees around him. the parent of the same sex often becoming the model for imitation. This is clearly not an exhaustive study on how the process works, as this book is not about how we influence our children. Core values. My core values are found deep within me, values so deeply embedded in my character that it's almost impossible to change them. These are the things I learned from my parents as a child, or that I learned in school when I was very young. In my case, it was different variations of study and do well in school or fighting is wrong. The latter, for example, means that I never laid hands on my other person. I haven't fought since third grade. And I seem to recall that I lost then. She was really strong. Another important core value is that all people are of equal worth. Because my parents demonstrated this to me during my childhood, I know it is deeply wrong to judge a person based on his or her origin, sex, or color. All of us carry many such core values. We know instinctively what is right and what is not. No one can take these core values away from me. Attitudes and approaches. The next layer is my attitudes, which are not exactly the same thing as core values. Attitudes are things I have formed opinions about based on my own experiences or on conclusions I have drawn from encounters in the later part of my schooling, high schooling, college, or my first job. Even experiences later on in life can form attitudes. A relative once told me that she didn't trust salespeople. She definitely not alone in having strong feelings about salespeople. But in her case, it resulted in comical practices. She couldn't buy anything without returning it. A sweater, a sofa, a car. The buying process was endless. Every fact had to be examined and explored. No matter how much research she had beforehand, she always wanted to return her purchases afterwards. Core values, attitudes, core behavior, moderated behavior, environment. Or I think in reverse we have to. Yeah. Once I had observed the pattern, I asked her why she did this. And she explained the reasoning behind her attitude. 85% people of all salespeople are swindlers. Explaining that I too was a salesperson had little effect. To this day, I don't know if I belong to the 8% of, or if I count myself among the fortunate 15%. The important thing is that an attitude can change. My relative had probably been badly fooled a number of times and therefore learned to distrust salespeople. However, if she had a number of positive experiences, her opinion could change. The results. Both my core values and attitudes affect how I choose my behavior. Together, they form my core behavior, the real person I want to be. My core behavior is how I can act. I act in complete freedom without the influence of external factors at all. You probably already see the issue here. When are we ever completely free from external influences? When I discuss this question with groups of people in different contexts, we all usually agree only when we are sleeping. But people are different. Some don't care. They are always themselves because they have never reflected upon how they are perceived. The stronger your self-understanding is, the greater your probability of adapting to the people around you. How do others really perceive you? The people around you most often see your moderated behavior. You interpret a specific situation and make a choice about how to act based on the evaluation. This is the behavior the others around you experience. It's all about the mask you wear to fit into a given situation. We all have several different masks. Having one at work and one at home isn't that unusual. And another one for visiting the in-laws, perhaps. The book is not an advanced course in psychology, but I am content to establish that we interpret situations differently and act accordingly. Consciously or subconsciously, surrounding factors cause me to choose a particular course of action. This is how we act. Look at this formula. Behavior is equal to F P into SF. Behavior is a function of personality and surrounding factors. Behavior is that which we can observe. Personality is what we try to figure out. Surrounding factors are things that we have an influence on. Conclusion: we continually affect one another in some form or another. The trick is to try figure out what's there under the surface. And this book is all about behavior. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Krishna. Thank you so much for the wonderful reading. And let's close today's reading with this. And what are the remaining time we can have discuss. And please you share your thoughts, your learning, or what you felt about this reading. Please, anyone start sharing your thoughts. Let me unshare screen. Okay. Okay, anyone would like to share your thoughts?
Yes, yes. So I think I am very excited to read this book. It's very nice because generally we behave all according to our own thoughts. How better I may communicate, but it is not the surety that others are perceiving me the same way. Because many times we feel that we have communicated so well, it may be in different relationships, but others don't get you what you want to interpret. And I think the writer will be explaining this with his DISA tool that he was talking about. He has associated the different relationships with different colors. Yeah, I'm so excited to read this because it will deal with the psychology of how to make other people's understand or how to behave in a better way. Yes, that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good morning to all. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. One thing what I have learned from this book, different from the other books, is he framed a word called as idiot. So whenever you don't match your behavioral patterns with the other person, or whenever you never get adapted to the other person's personality, you need to beautifully title yourself that you are an idiot. So when you get that word, when you sense that you're an idiot, it's so immediately you will be aware that how beautifully I can communicate with a particular person. So in that way, immediately you will try to get adapted to his behavior patterns, his way of language, and from where and from what culture he has brought in. So yeah, from there he has taken a very interesting point that how a person becomes idiot. So that's an interesting point, and let's see how he will navigate this particular essence throughout the book. I think we need to learn a lot, and I think people who have done about the neuro-linguistic programming also, it's like even there, the director or whoever tells that you need to get adapted to the opposite person, the way he gets dressed, the way he uses the language and all. You need to really match, at least for few instances of time. Then later, when you get blend with that particular personality, you'll get the real authentic connection between the two people. So somewhere I remembered this concept as well. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good morning, all.
Yeah, Krishna.
Good morning, all. In this book, I think we are going to explore about the various behaviors of people. Author, based on the disc, So he categorized the people into four colors or behaviors. Uh, so author is saying based on the environment we have grown up, or based on the parents or genetic factors. So our behaviors will mold up, our attitudes mold up, and along with the values we have learned or we have gathered accordingly from childhood onwards. Based on that, our behaviors will be. So based on this behaviors is going to categorize the people into four categories. So I don't know why why author also told as idiots, surrounded by idiots. So going further, we will explore by reading. We'll explore by reading. So this book is seems very interesting. Yeah, and let's find out the how people who we know fall into which categories, or ourselves fall into which categories. So let's explore, let's read and explore further tomorrow onwards. Yeah, thank
Yes,
you
Krishna.
again.
Yeah, thank you so
Yeah.
much. Yes, Krishna. As like you, I'm also so curious about what he's going to talk about this book, and what are we going to get different perspective about this book learning. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your insights and your thoughts about today's reading. Today we have started this book. I think I first of all I want to thank the person, the slew, when he said about the interaction, the uh, person whom he interviewed, who was the inspired person to write about this book or understanding, sharing about this book. The person who called his employees an idiot whenever there is situations going wrong, and people were so desperately, they were not interested to connect with them or connect with the person or that the leader when his mood is not good or something the wrong thing happened. That is what he calls everyone as an idiot. But even I think I feel like whenever I use this word idiot, I consider this as a bad word. Please you bear with this. I think until we complete, whenever we read this book, it is not intent. But the author also says, I think no one idiot in this one. The change, we have to change our perspective and cover the way we see the things. When we see the things and when we accept and understand the different personality and different colors, then everything will be fall in the right place, and our emotions and our perspective, our introspections, everything will be aligned. So today we have read two chapters. Communication happens on the listener's terms, where he said communication is not about what you say, it's all about what other persons hears. Yes, that is very rightful, the right sentence. You may think that when we say something, you have intent is, hey, this is my intent. I, for example, when you talk to someone, as a father, I'm going to talk to my kids, or I'm talking to my wife, or I'm talking to my friend. I think that this is what I'm perspecting, or I'm going to share the thing. I'm the way I react, the way I behave. It may be harsh. I think that it's going to good thing for them, but we don't know how the opposite persons perceive the words or the reactions, how they are going to accept it or how they are going to interpret when we behave. That is very important. That is what that overall the communications, and we have to focus on that, what other person hears that as well. In that ways, he has categorized the four different colors of the book, the different personalities, and also it's come with that small frame, the disc model, the dominant, introspective, the dominant, influencing, the stable, and analytical. That shows the different colors. And he's talk about the second chapter. He said, "Why are we the way we are?" The natural behavior. I think sometimes something what we have cultivated from the childhood, that is also imbibed with us, that we carry forward all time. Especially we see something as a child, what we see and what we have experienced, that is also changing, or that is also creating our personality. And he also mentioned about the behaviors which is the personality, the words we use, the tone we voice, the voice of tone, and the body language, speed of talking or decision making. These are the things it will applies in our behaviors. It is also creates our personality. So one thing, good thing, you cannot change other people, but you can change how you communicate with them. That is a very, very beautiful line, right? We cannot, I think, whomever we are going to interact, it is not our duty, or it is not in our hand, or it is not in our hand control to change them, everyone. But it is what is in our control, how we can interpret or how we can react and how we can communicate. When we learn or when we know we can communicate in a better way, we can change situation, we can change things, turn around. Even that negative things or even that the hard moments, the way we communicate, the way we react, we can change it in the positive way. So this is all within us, and when we change the way of communications, it, we we are in a position to make the situation or make the things in a better way or a better moment. Thank you so much, everyone, joining us for today's reading. And I would like to ask people, those who want to share something, thoughts about today's reading, or if anything, we will have another 4 minutes. And I humbly request everyone, the session will start at 7 o'clock. If you join at 7 o'clock, that would be grateful. I understand some of you have some other commitments, some other sessions. It will take some time. Please you take your time. But those who can, please you join at 7 o'clock so that we can start a little early. So I think we will get extra 5-10 minutes every day instead of starting at 7:10 or 7:05. We can start by 7 o'clock. So we can cover it up, and also we can have a good discipline. Start at 7, we can end with that on 7:40, and we can have a close discussion for 20 minutes. Close the session at 8 o'clock. That is what major things. I don't want to take your time. Everyone have a time is small commitment and precious. I understand. I respect. So please you join on time, and let's end the time and let the session also on time. Over to you. Those who want to share any few words, please you share it. Anyone?
Good morning to all. One more new word I have seen. I mean, the usage of the word in this particular book is that the usage of the tools. So generally, if we just read the word tool, or if you feel that, we somewhere feel that tools are something which are used for operating a particular machinery, or which are used for assembling a particular machinery. So here the author is telling that if you don't use proper tools, that is your proper communication or proper words, depending upon the opposite person, then you're using a wrong tool to a person who is not in that particular vibe. So when you use a wrong tool, again, you'll be an idiot. So even that I liked it. Thank you all.
Thank you, Pranavi. Yes, the tool is very important. Well, whatever the communication we are, when we have the right tools, or whatever the work we do, when we have the right tool, we are in upper hand. Whether we are the labor work, or that when we are having any particular job, as we have a proper tool, that will add more value. It is not only that the work, it also applies in the communication. Thank you so much for brought out this one point. Anyone for closing thoughts, closing notes? We have 1 more minute. That's okay. Please you take a couple of times, couple of minutes more if you want it.
Very nicely summarized both the chapters, Rajesh ji. It was very good. Actually, see, communication is why we are reading this book is basically about communication. Because if we are addressing someone as an idiot, so it is because we were not able to communicate properly. We were not able to convey our thoughts properly, and that is why the other person didn't understand. So basically, communication means like a person, a good communicator, the line is there, no? Flexibility and the ability to interpret other people's needs is what characterizes a good communicator. So if we are able to understand that the other person, and that is where comes the behavior part. Every person has a different behavior. Why? Because we are formed differently. And that formation is it's because of the experiences, our own genetical. The author has also connected it to that hereditary and genetics, and all the experiences, all the attitudes, all the surroundings we are. So that only forms the behavior. That is how we all are different from each other. Now comes the communication part, how we communicate and how we understand each other. Where we fail, we call others idiot, or we call ourselves idiot that we were not able to do that. So it applies to both. So basically, it is the communication and it is the understanding of the behavior that matters most. So this word is like it's a kind of showing a failure where we are not able to communicate. That is only it is a kind of frustration, or it is a word used to show our failure, and we are not accepting our own drawback that we were not able to communicate. So it is a kind of acceptance that communication has to be properly done, and it has to be flexible with every person. It is different from a child to an adult. It is different how we speak to a child and how we speak to an adult, how we speak at the time of anger and how we speak at the time of a calm mind. It is all different. So those are the tools we are using different in different situation. So that is intelligence, that is wisdom, using the proper tool of the behavior. That is actually intelligence. Otherwise, every wrong behavior is an idiocy. That's all.
Yeah. Thank you, Anjali. You nicely brought up that very important line. I think even I was also so much clue about the particular line when we are reading it. Flexibility and adaptability to interpret other people's needs. That what
Needs.
that category is a good communicator. So according to this, flexibility and adaptability is very important, right? Sometimes or not all situations are favor to us. We have to adapt the situations and we have to flexible the things. In that way, when we communicate according to the person, according to the people, what they are expecting, that's smoothen the conversation, and also we can attract people, and even also the people will be allowed to have the relationship. Thank you so much for joining us and leading the session, leading the today's chapters and sharing all the insights. I'm so excited, and we in this process we have, when we read this book continue further, we will have a great learning, and I'm also so excited about hearing from your insight and sharings of your experiences. Thank you so much. See you all tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Thank you. Have a wonderful day today.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a
Thank
good day.
you.
Bye.
Rajesh, if you remember in the last book, we were stuck at that point. Now there was that chapter on communication, and there it started reading about the logos, how the companies are communicating with the consumers, customers.
Yeah.
So
Start with
I
why.
think yes, this book is what we were looking there. We were searching for exactly. You remember that?
Yeah. I remember that. I think the last time, the start with why, the Simon Sinek he shared.
Yes. So
Yeah,
this
we
this is somehow connected. Now we were
good continue.
searching for
Yeah.
it.
Good continuation, right?
Yes,
Whatever we have
good
read, and
continue.
we'll continue with this. Yeah, I
Yes.
think even I was skeptical about what book we have to choose. Then whatever the book shared by Manisal, we just do it. I just took this book, and also I think one of the book I have
Even I have voted
heard
for
this book
this book. I
before.
was interested. Yeah, this is
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
basically
understanding people. That is very important skill, right? When we
right.
should know about people. 1 minute, 1 minute, be online.